Yes, they really are that good. But how? Just moments before, the score was 0-1. The USA women's hockey team is staring down an agonizing possible defeat from Canada at the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. Only 2 minutes remain on the clock. The gold medal was rapidly slipping away. The coach pulls the goaltender, leaving the net entirely empty and undefended. They are changing the strategy. They are no longer playing defense. They are going full force on offense.
Edwards fires and scores! And it is 1-1 here in the gold medal game.
While the world watched them win on the ice today,
Keller with the move. Keller takes it in, shoots! She scores!
not a lot of people know that this championship was forged years ago. Not in a rink, but in a boardroom. Our Queen Bees demanded new contracts and equitable treatment. They secured an ironclad pipeline of money and resources. They refused to simply play a rigged game. They rewrote the rules entirely. You would think that in this day and age, women win these kinds of battles every day. But step off the ice and into the modern corporate office, the old, rigged rules are still there, still destroying careers. Millions of corporate women are trapped in a system designed to exploit them. We still believe the myth that working twice as hard guarantees a promotion, a stable job. But we know that is not the case. Unrewarded labor is a total dead end. The USA women's hockey team realized this years ago. They know that demanding your worth doesn't distract from excellence. It fuels it. Today, we are breaking down their exact rule-breaking playbook and how you can use it to win your own corporate battles. In 1990, at Ottawa, Canada, the first Women's World Ice Hockey Championship took place. You would think this was a massive moment of respect. It wasn't. The Federation literally forced the Canadian host team to wear pink jerseys. Their excuse was that they needed to distinguish the women's game.
Pink is the color of the day. Everybody wearing pink pom-poms and waving them and wearing pink Canadian flags on their faces.
But this is a textbook example of systemic marginalization. By forcing world-class athletes into hyper-feminized uniforms, the establishment unconsciously signaled a demotion. It told the audience, these players are a novelty, not a threat. This perfectly mirrors the pink tax of early corporate entry. For decades, women entering the boardroom fell into the good student trap. The assumption was simple. Keep your head down. Do the work. Be grateful you even have a seat at the table. Eventually, leadership will notice your pure operational competence and reward you. But that is a complete lie. You end up doing all the heavy lifting. You get boxed into diversity committees or soft skill roles. You get none of the glory and none of the budget. How do they reward your hard work? They reward you with more work. The USA women's hockey team playing in that 1990 tournament learned this the hard way. Although they dominated the rink, they still wore hand-me-down equipment. Silent suffering did not unlock executive funding. It only proved they would work for free. The establishment still viewed them through a pink-tinted lens. Raw talent and hard work were never going to be enough to change the math. To break this cycle, you have to kill the good student habit today. Working hard and staying quiet is a trap. You cannot wait for leadership to magically discover you. You have to sponsor yourself. Take absolute control of your visibility. Write the strategy documents, present your own work to executives, create the opportunities where your value is impossible to ignore. Because how do you force an entire establishment to actually take you seriously? You need structural power. 8 years later, the world watched a milestone in Nagano, Japan. Women's ice hockey finally made it to the Winter Olympics. Team USA, led by Captain Cami Granado, dominated. They beat Canada 3-1 to win the first ever gold medal.
Sue Burns, Sandra White in the circle, Julian scores!
It looks like a classic sports movie. A win fueled by pure grit and endless practice. But here's the surprising truth. That 1998 gold medal wasn't won on the ice in Japan. It was won in a courtroom 26 years ago. In 1972, the US government passed Title IX, a civil rights law that banned sex-based discrimination in schools. It forced universities to fund women's athletics. Before Title IX, female athletic pipelines did not exist. Institutions hoarded resources for the men. Title IX acted as a massive structural crowbar. It pried open college budgets. It forced the creation of development systems. Universities suddenly had to offer female hockey scholarships. This built a funded pathway from high school to the elite level. This is the exact definition of a successful corporate pipeline. Pipelines actively recruit and develop talent. They remove reliance on luck or isolated hustle. The Nagano team wasn't just a lucky group of talented women. They were the direct result of a 26-year federal investment. In the corporate world, this is a massive lesson. You cannot just give junior women advice and hope they succeed. You have to build a pipeline. You must create real budgets for their development and build the infrastructure to support them. Team USA proved that world-class talent exists everywhere. You just have to fund it. But to demand that funding, you first have to be undeniably good. You must ruthlessly invest in your own skills. But there was still a massive, glaring catch. Team USA had the pipeline. They had the gold medal around their necks. But the establishment still held the purse strings in a death grip. The gap between their on-ice dominance and their actual bank accounts was about to get incredibly ugly. By 2014, the team had established an elite standard. They consistently brought home Olympic medals. They were the definition of high-performing assets. But for 19 grueling years, the money never came. The financial reality they faced was sickening. They won Olympic silver in Vancouver in 2010. They won silver again in Sochi in 2014. They were undeniably the best in the world, but USA Hockey paid them almost nothing. The women received just $6,000 for an entire 6-month Olympic training block. That is $1,000 a month. Meanwhile, the head coach of the USA men's team, he was pulling in a massive $2 million salary. This shatters the biggest illusion in corporate industries, the absolute lie of meritocracy. You are taught that if you are the top performer, you get the top pay. But these women were literally the best on the planet, and they were making less than minimum wage. Meritocracy does not exist if a broken establishment controls the budget. Being the hardest worker in the room is not a strategy. It is a trap. If you want to break out of that trap, you have to look closely at your network. Stop collecting mentors who just buy you coffee and give friendly advice. You need to demand sponsors who will actually fight for your promotion in closed-door meetings. By 2017, the team's frustration had finally boiled over. They realized they couldn't just skate harder to close the wage gap. It was time to stop playing by the rules. It was time to flip the board. In March 2017, the World Championship was only weeks away. USA Hockey is hosting the massive tournament on home soil. It is their biggest payday of the year. Suddenly, the US women's national team drops a bomb. They announce a total boycott. There were no more polite meetings to beg for raises, no more promises to win a gold medal first. They simply refused to play. They used the ultimate negotiation tactic, collective leverage. You calculate your walkaway power by finding the company's most critical project, and you hold it hostage. But they didn't strike blindly. They brought in high-powered lawyers. They secured ironclad backing from the NHL Players Association. The U.S. men's national team even threatened to boycott their own world championship in solidarity. USA Hockey panicked. They desperately called college players to replace the women. Not a single player crossed the picket line. This is a masterclass for corporate women. Stop negotiating based on how hard you work. Negotiate based on what it costs the company to replace you. Do not walk into a performance review and list how many hours you worked. Leadership does not reward exhaustion, they reward results. Show them exactly how your specific contribution drove revenue, saved time, or solved a massive crisis. You do not ask for a raise because you are tired. You leverage what you control because you are a critical asset. Facing a massive disaster, USA Hockey folded. The women won a historic contract with livable wages and real maternity leave. And here's the best part. Days later, they took the ice and won the World Championship. They proved that demanding your worth doesn't distract from excellence, it fuels it. But a contract is just a piece of paper. How do you turn a boardroom victory into a gold medal dynasty? You stop playing passive defense. You launch a calculated offense. Fast forward to February 19th, 2026. Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. With exactly 2 minutes and 4 seconds left, USA is losing 0-1. The clock is bleeding out. If they keep playing the exact same way, they will quietly lose. So the coach pulls goaltender Aaron Frankel. The net is completely empty. 6 U.S. skaters against 5 Canadians. To an outsider, this looks like a blind, reckless gamble. It looks like they left everything completely defenseless. But they didn't. You do not execute a massive offensive strike out of thin air. You do it because your foundation is absolutely bulletproof. This team spent decades building the Title IX pipeline. They spent years forging deep protective sponsorships. They fought a brutal boardroom war in 2017 to secure their true value. They knew exactly what they were capable of. In the corporate world, this is the ultimate lesson. The good student from 1990 stays on defense. She keeps her head down and hopes to be noticed. But a seasoned leader leverages her foundation. When you have built elite skills, forged strong relationships, and proven your impact, you can take a massive risk. You drop the safety net. You actively negotiate and force the win. That empty net strategy was the ultimate offensive strike. It completely overwhelmed the opposition, forced overtime, and secured the 2026 Olympic gold. Because when you spend years building your foundation, pulling the safety net isn't a desperate gamble. It is the exact moment you stop waiting for permission and you take absolute control of the game. So find your empty net moment, walk into that room, stop playing defense, and go on the attack. Playing by the old polite rules guarantees you will be underpaid and overlooked. Writing your own rules is how you win. The whistle just blew. Now go out there and win your gold.